All right guys, in today's video, this is one we filmed with Jess Frank on how the trail elbow works. And based on swings I've seen and my own game, this is one of the key pieces that, like, every good ball striker I've ever worked with has this in there. And every ball striker I've worked with who struggles with their consistency and contact doesn't have this in there. So it's one of the things you do want to focus on. I know there's a lot of things with the golf swing, but this is a really key part. It starts with how you set your trail arm at setup. Right, it's a really big key a lot of us get wrong, and then we need to be able to maintain that throughout the swing. Jess and I talk about what that means in today's video, plus a couple of drills and feels. Make sure you watch through the whole thing. There's some little nuggets thrown in there towards the end as well. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. Let me know afterwards in the comments down below what you think. Let's talk through those three things.
Okay.
I know for us, right, everything starts with the setup position.
Correct. So the three keys to performing this is that the first thing you always want to do, and I work on this with my lessons all the time, is that understand how to get your right arm into position in the setup. And that includes the right arm, the right elbow, and the right wrist. And so when I go ahead and set up to it, I'm always telling people to kind of get into a curl position here. So when I get into a curl position, that puts my right arm in a really good spot right off the bat. So that's the first thing we do. We also look at the elbow pocket. The elbow pocket is facing the camera here. You do not want to have the elbow turned in. That can cause a whole host of issues during your swing. So just getting the setup position correct with your right arm and right wrist is going to help. So that's the first thing. So elbow pocket to the camera. From there, you can see my right wrist can turn independently of my elbow. So a lot of people will try to put their hand on the grip and they'll turn their entire arm in, which gets you in a really kind of precarious position right here. So if I'm here, I'm gonna be able to turn this independently and not move my arm. And so that will get you into a really good grip as well. So if I have my left hand on the club, I turn my right hand from the side. Now my my fingers can get on the club. My right hand can get in a really good position. And now I'm set up into a really good drawing position or powerful position. My right elbow is softer, a little bent. My right arm is also beneath my left arm, which you can really see down the line here, is that right arm is underneath the left, which most people who come to me are always turned the opposite way. And so this is something that I work on daily with students here at Deer Creek. You
just threw 20 good nuggets there. Let's do that one more time to clarify a couple pieces.
All right.
Because when I'm doing my lessons as well, Jeff, and a lot of mine are online now.
Yes.
I would say, dude, I'm saying this 75 to 80% of the time, where I'm fixing the trail arm at the setup. So guys, this is like very important to set the rest of the piece up. Can we just do that one more time?
Yep.
So all of those pieces that were checkpoints, the elbow pocket points away, which has the elbow itself pointing towards us, right?
Correct.
And then that independent movement of the forearm to that, I think, is so important.
Yes.
That trail arm's bent, not straight at setup.
Correct, it's bent.
Right, so maybe 165 degrees or so, and underneath the left. Can you do that setup one more time with the full deal? So from here, you can see this left forearm in front of the right forearm. So can you show us the bad way? So the bad way does literally all the opposite things, right? A, that right hand grip is going to be too weak, very likely.
Correct.
B, the shaft is too far back.
Correct.
And C, the shoulders are going to be too open.
Right.
Sets us up for what kind of shots?
Slices,
pulls, poor contact.
Bad. The inconsistent shots that we always hear about, right?
So we probably could do a video on just here's how you set up with the right arm, but for the sake of sort of completing this, let's say we get those pieces correct. What's our general concept for step 2 to the top of the backswing?
Well, the greatest thing about getting the trail arm for us, the right arm in the right spot, is that it simplifies the entire movement, which is awesome because that's what we want. We want a simple golf swing that we can repeat on the golf course. So when you get into the position with the right elbow pocket, right wrist turned, set up, so right arm beneath the left, okay, which is great because all you're doing in the backswing now is that as you're going back, you're basically keeping the same position of the right arm. So when I get to the top, now my right arm's still bent, my right wrist is bent back more, and now I'm in a really good position with the face that's closed to the shaft that I can come back down and hit a shot from. So, and that's gonna go back a little bit on the setup with the right arm and right wrist. What that also helps you do is that keeps your face that's closed to the shaft. So all the slicers who have the right arm out and the face basically open, this is going to change their position with the right arm underneath the left and be able to go back in your backswing to go from right arm, right wrist, and then as you go back, you're in the same position, you're just increasing your right wrist bend back a little bit, maybe a little bit more elbow bend in the backswing, and that's going to give you a really powerful position at the top that you can hit a lot of good shots from, because it's also going to create an in-out path as well. Because as you showed in the bad move, that opens the shoulders with the right arm too high and too away from my body. But as I do this at address, you said it perfectly, is that now my shoulders are slightly closed, my right arm's underneath my left, I can go back to the top. Now as I'm here, that gives me a really good path into out to hit the ball and hit draws and powerful shots.
That's perfect. So just the same way the setup makes the backswing easier, the backswing is going to make the downswing easier.
Correct.
And I think a simple, like if we were going to put 2 notes on here, right, of like, what's my thing I'm going to remember from there? If we set up with the elbow pit away in the arm in a relative curl, and we're keeping that to the top, the 2 variables that Jess mentioned that are the take-homes, right, is the right arm would increase its fold, let's just say to about 90 degrees.
Correct.
And the right wrist would bend back more.
Yes.
So if from now you're like, okay, I got the pit of my arm away with the palm towards the target, I'm going to keep that feel I have.
Correct.
Increase the bend the right wrist back.
Correct. They get to the top, you got the right wrist bent, the right arm bent, and you're in a really solid top of the swing position.
We've got a perfect setup.
Yes.
We're beautiful at the top.
Yes.
But now we've got to hit the ball.
Correct.
So step 3 of this, right?
Yes.
Part 3 is what are the concepts from there to impact?
Correct. So what you said was beautiful, Eric, is that you're putting you're putting yourself in a really good backswing position, really in an easy way to get your downswing coming in a downswing spot that's going to put you right in that shallow into out position. So again, from setup, right elbow pocket, right wrist. So now the face is closed to the shaft. As I go to the top, as I increase my right elbow bend and right wrist bend, now on the way down, I'm bringing that back into that same setup position that we were just at as I come back down. So from here now, you can see is that the shaft is forward. It's not casted. My right arm is still bent. My right elbow's in front. My right wrist is bent back. So you're in an extremely powerful position to transfer momentum out to the club head by bringing that right hand, right wrist back into the back of the ball and then hitting the ball and moving forward. So again, that puts you, the setup puts you in a really good backswing position, and then you're keeping that same position as I'm coming down into the back of the ball. And you're gonna be able to hit some really solid golf shots with the face that's still closed to the shaft, not, you know, where a lot of people come in and the face opens, so.
Yeah, and I just want to touch on that one last point. If we kind of go into our delivery position,
Yes.
if we put literally any tour player in this sort of spot like you look like here, any really good golfer in a side-by-side with Jess would look about like that.
Yes.
And this sort of curl position at setup is the general idea. If we look at his elbow relative to the shoulder and the wrist, let's go like straight curling where it's back a touch. So let's even say those were like straight up and down. That's probably the minimum amount you want to do.
Correct.
If anything, would you agree the elbow would be slightly more forward relative to the wrist and the shoulder?
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
And the last key point with that Jess said, which is so key and important, is this elbow pit is still pointed away like it was at setup, but you can rotate the right wrist to get the impact independent of that.
Correct.
Right? That right wrist rotation happens without the elbow going back. Show the bat. What do we see all the time? We see the elbow back, and when the elbow goes
back, as it comes down, it goes this way.
Now Jess did that. Maybe he knew that. Maybe he didn't right away. But as soon as Jess's elbow, meaning you know it, but
correct.
I don't know if he did it on purpose or not. But as soon as the elbow went back, his right wrist starts throwing.
Right.
Automatically. Try to do it. Try to get your elbow back without your right wrist. You can't get to the golf ball. But what you can do if the elbow goes forward is the right wrist can stay bent back, and you can get to the golf ball with just a little bit of that rotation.
And that's an extremely powerful position that creates angular momentum. It creates
Angular momentum, take
yes.
it easy, Jeff.
Sorry. It basically keeps the club head behind your hands,
Yeah.
as we like to say. So back into the back of the ball, and it faces closed, wrist is
easy
good.
golf stuff, simple.
Flat left wrist, weights forward, all the good stuff, and then boom, and you're hitting some solid shots.
Let me see if I can.
Yes,
do one to
absolutely.
replicate
Let's
that.
do it.
So I think that explanation of that is beautiful, guys. Like if any of that is not clear or straightforward, the first however many minutes that took, go back and watch that over a couple of times. I would think Jess would agree, like the implementation of this and you owning this in your golf swing starts with a crystal clear understanding of what you're trying to do, which is why we took the time to go through that.
Right.
Now, how do I actually do this? Let's say we just we skipped the 20, 30 minutes we would normally do, practice this with no ball.
Right.
Let's say we skipped all that. Okay,
Correct.
we're at the golf
We're
balls
ready
here.
to go.
So
let's do it.
When I come in, Jess, would you be okay? Let's say for whatever reason I struggled to do that and I wanted to feel. One of the drills I saw Jess do in one of his videos, so I'm going to assume he's okay with this because he did it. To help feel this was you would actually lock your lead hand kind of behind the trail elbow.
Yes.
And at the setup position, obviously the elbow's away. I'm gonna have a little bit of the right wrist turned. If I lock this in just above the elbow here, and if I get this wrong, please tell me.
Yeah, sure.
When I go back, I'm gonna feel like I keep that same sensation. Maybe even press in a little, maybe even squeeze it just a touch.
Yeah.
I feel the right arm folding, the right wrist bending back. And as I come down, guys, I can push forward a little bit on my elbow with the back of my hand to make sure I'm at least in a curl position.
Yes.
The elbow is slightly more forward than the wrist and the shoulder.
Correct.
And I'm gonna feel like I maintain that. The elbow points towards my stomach.
Yes.
Not away from the target.
Correct.
And I'm gonna feel a little bit of that right wrist bend. So as a drill,
It's a great drill. That's a great drill. I use that a lot. In fact, I use that for my own game too, because my right arm has a tendency to get behind me a little bit. So that's an awesome position.
It's a Jess Frank approved.
And yeah, 100%. And do see how Eric's presenting this drill and doing it in slow motion. This is something that people need to do a lot of. If you want to get better at golf, slow motion drills, rehearsal drills without hitting a ball is paramount to getting better. And you got to do this over and over again. Exaggeration. I know you talk about that all the time, Eric. Exaggeration. Keep doing it. And then you're going to be able to build that into your swing because it takes time to change the motion.
Elbow pit away.
Yep.
I'm going to feel like I maintain that, bend the right wrist back. Feel like I maintain that curl position. A little bit of arm rotation. So let's get the setup piece correct.
Yep.
Right arm's underneath the left.
That looks good.
Elbow pit away. Let's fold it back during the backswing. Keep that forward on the way down.
And that's about as solid as you can hit it right there, brother.
You see, you said it for me, Jess. Thanks, man. That was beautiful. Appreciate you.